I have, well, 6 kids, but 5 of them underage. And I have in-laws that my kids visit with out of state. And about a month and a half ago, my kids were, well, a couple of them were out of state with the grandparents. And I had Child Protection show up at my door with all of these allegations. And I didn't know where the allegations came from. And I just went through, the 45 days of the Child Protection dealing with me. And they ended up closing my case the day that I got subpoenaed to go to court because my in-laws are trying to take custody from me with my kids. And so I went into court already, and I went in as a woman. I said that they stole my property, and I require the immediate restoration of my property. The judge ended up saying that he was going to take it under advisement, and that was it. The court was adjourned. They basically threw me out. I kept telling them I require the immediate restoration of my property until the bailiff came to escort me out.
When was this?
This was yesterday. So I'm sitting here, right now they have a temporary order to keep my kids, 2 of them, they had taken them across state lines, actually, from where I had agreed that they could go to the aunt's house who's asking for custody, though I'd never given permission for them to go to the state they're in or go to the aunt's house. And now they have a temporary order, and they're trying to use every tactic in the book against me. So I walk out of there, and I report a crime. I'm saying, this woman stole my property, and I leave because he made me leave. But that's all. We're basically still in session.
Well, when does the temporary order expire?
As far as I knew,
probably has already.
Currently.
So what you were able to do then in the court when you were there was prevent them from being able to issue any new orders whatsoever. So it just means that they have your sons and your daughters, but they don't have any authority to actually have them at this point. I'm actually helping somebody right now in this exact same situation, where the court, where Child Family Services here in Manitoba was going after an order for the custody of this guy's kid that they took more than a month and a half ago, and we shut them down. The court doing exactly what Karl and I were just talking about, what he's been talking about, what I've been talking about. The court was not able to issue a new order, and you should be able to just literally go and pick up your property, go and take it. And even you could even get the police to help you with that. These people have my son, my daughter. They have no order. They do not have a valid court order to have them. I want them right now.
Okay, so then meanwhile, before he's even given his decision, he even has that option. I don't even understand where he gets off thinking that, but he's still going to make his verdict, right? So if I go and I take my kids back.
When is he supposed to be giving his decision?
He wouldn't tell me.
That's because he's not going to.
Well, they got 6 months. It depends on how she formed it. If she formed it as a form of a notice or a motion, it depends.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm just not going to at all.
What did you actually put into the court? I mean, did you put a notice? What did you put in?
Well, actually, I've been working with Gus, so I put some good stuff in there. Let's see.
Can you physically point out the man or woman that touched your property?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you specifically mention that there was a trespass on your property? And when you went there, did you say Susie trespassed on my property? Susie robbed me? Because if you could witness a theft, if you witnessed when somebody stole something from you, it's a robbery. If you can't, like say you left your watch on the table and you walked out of the room and there's 12 people and you came back, it's a theft. It's not a robbery. You can't actually physically point that person out, that man or woman out, and say they robbed me. You said something about stolen.
In my papers, it's trespass.
Okay, but did you say that you were robbed, or
I
did
said
you say
they
it
were
was
stolen.
stolen?
I said she stole them. I said that woman, Alyssa, stole them.
Okay. Like I said, this is really horrible how they play these silly word games, but it is extremely important when you're playing in their world. If you want to be in their court, in their world, in which they have jurisdiction authority, if you don't want to open up your own court, yes, you can put a notice into their court, but you've got to be deadly accurate. Like I said, all you had to basically say was, I, a woman, whatever your name is, claimed the wrong of trespass. I was robbed. See Exhibit A. That's all you have to do. You just put the lady's name. You put the lady's name down. It's Susie Johnson robbed me on this day. You put it in an exhibit that she robbed you on this day. And then you can say, I require this in court the immediate return or immediate restoration of property. And you probably did that. Did you put in, if the court does not restore property forthwith, I'll charge the person who maintains unlawful, illegal, or naked possession an X amount of dollars a day for every day until the property is restored. Did you put something in there like that?
Yep. Actually, the attorney got up and made fun of me for doing that.
Okay, what I'm saying, what did you literally write?
I put in a couple of them. I made a boo-boo with the first one, so I put in some more. The woman, Alyssa, continues to trespass upon property by way of theft. See Exhibit A and B. Said trespass does cause harm, injury, and loss to I. Said trespass began March 26th. I require compensation of $1 per minute per property until said property is restored. I require immediate restoration of property, I say, and will verify in open court all this to be true. Then I did a notice cause of action that was probably not supposed to be put in there because it gave them some jurisdiction that it shouldn't have. Like I referred to the grandparents as grandparents, and I talked about homeschool.
Yeah.
Gus is saying, read what you put in today.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to tell them, Angela, when people start going on like that, it's called an impact statement. You could say, see Exhibit B, and Exhibit B would be an impact statement saying grandparents and this, and talk about how you feel and all this other stuff. But don't put it in the notice and don't put it in the lawsuit. Just attach it as an exhibit and make it an impact statement.
Right. That's what basically I did. It was just stating basically what's taken place. It was all the dates and things that have taken place up until this point. And then, let's see. Okay, today I put in the court of record. A woman aggrieved to declare this court of record is my word pressed upon the court. Let no woman add or subtract from it. I appear before the court solely as a woman in common law, without representation, without title, respondent, pro se, mother, parent, to give notice that I am an idiot in legalese. I do not understand the customs of the legal society, nor do I believe the law exists, which requires I to understand such things. I believe this court does exist as a part of the government, which exists to secure rights and protect property. See Exhibit A. No man or woman takes claim to property of I. See Exhibits B and C. The woman, Alyssa, does, and continues to trespass upon I by way of theft. See Exhibit D. Said trespass does cause harm, injury, and loss to I. Said trespass began March 26th. See Exhibit F. I require compensation of $1 per minute per property until said property be restored and notice be given this court of intent to cease and desist pursuit of my case. The man, Mark Grodum, does, and continues to trespass upon I by way of barratry. The Exhibit E. Said trespass does cause harm, injury, and loss to I. Said trespass began March 26th. I require compensation of $5,000 for initial trespass and $500 per day for continued trespass until said man does cease and desist and trespass withdrawal of appearance, or said trespass with withdrawal of appearance. I will forgive the debt of those who trespass against me, as I would wish those I trespass upon to forgive my debt. Said offer of forgiveness expires at noon, April 17th, 2015. I require this case discharged with prejudice. I shall hold liable any woman that administers said property without right. And then I've got my exhibits.
Yeah, ma'am, like I said one time. When you put a notice into the court, or even when you make a suit or a claim, it should be 1 or 2 sentences. It should be very simple.
It's getting pretty lengthy.
Yeah, it should just be, I claim the wrong of trespass, see Exhibit A, and then all that stuff you could attach as Exhibit A. You could load up a tractor trailer, it could be your Exhibit A. But all you're supposed to say is, I've been wrong. I said, I claim the wrong of a trespass, robbery, see Exhibit A. And that's it. And then the Exhibit A is all that stuff. All the judge wants to see is that you're making a claim that you discovered gold. And if you want to know where the gold's located, see Exhibit A. And then you can do all the geological surveys, the studies. You could do all kinds of GPS, points and notation. You could do all that nonsense in your exhibit. All the judge wants to hear is that you discovered gold. I discovered gold. See Exhibit A. And he's going to look at Exhibit and say, okay, I accept your claim. Good. Go for it. It's yours.
Yeah, the same way. I'm a victim of my own smarts. I used to write incredibly long things like that, and they're less likely to read any of it when you write more.
Oh, what's hysterical is they'll actually read your claim into the open court, and they'll put it on a freaking record for you.
Yep.
Oh.
It was so hysterical. A Mexican lady, her husband called me, it's a boyfriend, one of them, if he should marry her or not, because he didn't want to pay for a child who was going to be in foster care for 14 years and it wasn't his kid. So he called me up to say whether he should do the paternity test. I said, why don't you just get your property back and be done with it? And it was so funny. I put like the 2 lines in there because I knew she was Mexican. She couldn't speak to me on the phone. I said, can you say return? Can you teach your wife or girlfriend? Can you teach her to say, I restore property? I've been robbed. Can you tell her to say that like 3 or 4 times? And that's it. And it was so hysterical, man. We put like 1 sentence, 2 sentences into the court, and the public defender would not put it in. If you listen to episode 81 on TalkShoe and at 127-469, Dean, he laughed. No, I'm talking to Dean. If he hears it, he'll laugh his ass off. This Mexican guy talking to me, and he said the public defender would not. He says it's too late to put that in, and it was so funny when she got, when the prosecutor said, the judge asked the prosecution, the state of New Mexico, what has this woman done in the last 4 months in the interim since we've had her child? And the prosecutor, they started laughing. They said she hasn't done parenting classes, she hasn't done AA classes, she hasn't done any kind of anger management because she had charges of beating up a couple of cops when she was drunk and the baby fell out of the car seat, in a pickup truck. She hasn't done complied with anything the court ordered. But you know what she did? This is what she put into the court. I, Melissa Rosa, Mendez, required immediate restoration. I've been robbed. And the judge said to the lady, she said, you've been robbed? And she said, see, I've been robbed. And the judge said, are you going to charge us like this money? He said, see, money, my property, give money, no property, money. And the judge said, restore her property immediately. And the prosecutor said, but Your Honor, said, you know the law, restore it now. And then the guy said to me, and serenity was restored. I said, I don't give a damn about peace, tranquility, and serenity. What happened to the damn kid? He said, serenity was restored. I said, oh, you're a Spanish guy. You didn't name your kid Luisa or Maria? No, you named her Serenity. Okay. You got your kid back? And he's like, yeah. Well, see, how simple was that?
So is this lady that's on the phone right now, Karl? Is she going back to court with a new motion, basically, for order to return property again?
It's not a motion because a motion could be in 3 forms. It could be a motion that could be heard within 6 months. It could be an immediate motion, which has to be heard within 3 days. It could be an emergency immediate motion, which must be heard immediately. They must bring a magistrate forth into the court and hear the matter immediately. I don't want to make a motion. What I want to do is tell her to make a notice. It's a nice, simple notice, because when she makes a lawsuit, it's not considered court of record and any of this nonsense. Whatever her name is, say her name is Tina Smith, it's going to be the Smith Court at the General District Court of Nebraska, whatever it is called over there. It's going to be the Smith Court at the General District Court of Nebraska. She's going to make a claim into that court. And she's going to make a simple claim. She's going to require the restoration of property because she's been robbed, see Exhibit A. If anybody knows the location of this property, please deliver it forthwith, or who's ever holding the property unlawfully in naked possession is going to be charged the amount of $1 a minute for the next until the property is restored. That's it. That's the whole entire freaking lawsuit. That would be like a whole freaking entire notice. If you want to actually move a claim into the court, that's fine. If you just want to still play in their court because it's like, you know what, we'll put a notice into that court. I'm a woman and I claim like that Maria Luisa did, whatever, down in New Mexico. We just put a little simple notice into the court. I knew she couldn't pull off a lawsuit. I knew she couldn't actually move a jury.
I think what a lot of people are running into for problems is that their paperwork is not being accepted at the courts, or they're being lied to by clerks who won't take the paperwork. The notices don't get them a hearing date. The clerk said, no, you got to file a form like this, and you got to request a hearing date. And it's got to say motion on it, and what you're motioning for, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the.
That's why, like I said, that's why you just do a simple. That's why you just do a simple notice, and it's just an uppercase N, and everything else is lowercase OTICE. Just a simple notice, nothing fancy. Just notice. Notice just means like I said, when I was over in England, a German guy said, Karl knows what he's talking about. He said, because when they give a ruling in courts in Germany, the judge will walk over to the window and he'll yell out to the world. He'll give the world notice that this woman Greta, whatever, is no longer married to, Rudy, whoever, and the debts between this man and woman to no longer be bound as one. So he's calling out to the world. He's giving a notice to the world. And obviously nobody's probably really listening anymore. It's 2014. He says, but they still give notice to the world. You still shout it out to the world. When you're doing a notice, all you're doing is putting it into an open forum. You're just shouting it out to the world. When I do notice, I don't put the name of the court. I don't put the plaintiff down there. I don't put the defendant down there. It just says notice on the top. Nice little simple notice. Sticking like a bulletin board, sticking like on a street sign, or sticking it on a mail, what do they call, like a street pole.
Yep. And I would suggest if people want to, they can put 2 on there, 2, and then if they're going to put people's names on there, put the actual name. Don't call him Judge so-and-so or Justice so-and-so. Put the actual name of that man acting as a judge on there, to so-and-so, and order him to return your property. I require my property now, or you're damaging me.
Like I said, the big thing is that you're going after. First, you have to, like I said, you have to say it's a robbery, because there's a big difference between. Like I said, it's sad that they play these simple, silly word games, but there's a huge difference between a theft and a robbery, because a theft means you could have just misplaced that watch. You could have just thought you left it on the table. But a robbery means that you could actually point out in a lineup a man or a woman, and you could testify in open court that that woman actually touched your property.
So it doesn't mean that I had to watch her walk away with them, but just knowing, because...
Did you see her touch your child, your property, and walk away with it?
No, but she's admittedly has them, or she's admittedly in possession.
No. I'm saying that's fine that she's in possession, and you're going to charge her for. You say, the person known as, or the woman known as, whatever has been, in possession of, and I'm going to hold her liable for the possession of my property. But what I'm saying is, but you don't know who actually touched the woman. Not touched your property. You don't know the name of the woman who actually touched it. There's a great video on YouTube where this little Mr. Little heavy guy in England, when he's presenting the person to the court and not the man, and the judge is going nuts. So the judge tells the bailiff to get this man out of the building. So the man, as soon as the bailiff comes near him, this little guy jumps into the bailiff's face and says, "If you touch me, I do not wish to be touched, and if you touch me, I'm going to garnish your paycheck, I'm going to take your pension, and you're going to work for me for the rest of your life. Do not trespass. Do not touch me. I do not wish to be touched. I'll sue you." So the bailiff looked at the judge and said, "Judge, can this man sue me?" And the judge didn't say anything. And the bailiff yelled at the judge, "Hey, judge, I'm talking to you. If I touch this man, can he sue me?" And the judge didn't say anything. The guy just brushed the guy's suit jacket and says, "I'm sorry, sir, if I insulted you, if I caused you any harm." He said, "Have a nice day, sir." And the bailiff walked away. And the crowd went crazy in the courtroom.
Right.
Because the judge can't lie. The judge can't say, "Of course the man can't sue you. I gave you an order. Touch this man." No man can touch another man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if somebody else orders him to do it.
Right. So like I said, it's regardless of that she was ordered to take your kid. It's like, well, I was ordered to take your child into custody. Oh, really? Who issued that order? Because I'm going to go after that clown, too. Who created that order?
I was going to say, by what authority was that order issued?
First of all, right, somebody had to issue that order. Who issued that order? Because I want to hold that man or woman liable for trespassing on my property.
I can't order Karl to go steal somebody else's car.
And so we put that in the paperwork, too. We even, we said that we were holding the lawyer liable, her liable, the judge liable. And I repeated it in court, over and over.
Yeah, but now the big thing is they want to see if you could actually open your own court. Go ahead and open your court. Now create your court, open your court, move your court into a public venue, and have the juries, have the people from the community sit in judgment. Now, can you actually move your own court? They go like, "Okay, go ahead. We're calling you bluff. We don't think you can pull it off." Yeah, okay, it was a robbery. Yeah, it was okay, it was a theft. But you know what? Honestly, you might be 100% right. But you know what? We don't care. Now, show us what you're going to do. You're saying you're going to hold us liable? Show us. Do it. Don't just say it. Now do it.
Just opened up another issue we'll have to talk about another day. Is actually being able to enforce any of this stuff. But
well, because right now, they at court they popped the question in new paperwork that they want to give them, the kids that they have, they want to get them vaccinated, which I'm totally against, and they want my other ones too. So, like, right now I'm waiting in limbo to see if they're going to get this okay.
Hey, that's a good question for you. There's two ways they take a kid into custody. Do they charge you with a crime?
No.
Okay, did you sign the paper?
They got my kids talking bad about me. Like,
great. It doesn't matter.
Why? So it's hearsay.
I didn't ask you that. And the other question is, did you ever sign anything?
I did sign with CPS, but I rescinded and revoked those.
Yeah, rescinded and revoked. That don't mean anything. What did you sign? You said that you would live up to certain terms and conditions of the rejoinder of the kids or rejoining of the kids, and then you didn't live up to it, and then they came in and took the kids?
No, they never took the kids. They
never took the kids?
No, they said that actually that they didn't have any problem with anything here, but that I was high risk, so I needed to continue services in case I ever needed help.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure this out. So they came to you and they said, we believe you need services because of neglect or abuse based upon the allegations, right?
Yeah, it was all, the big
and they handed you something called like a safety plan, and they said, look, we just want you, what?
Yep. They gave us, for our plan, it was to have a chore chart.
Like I said, there's only two ways that they could take your property, any government. They could take it because that you're, like it's a menace to society, like a public nuisance. They're charging you with breaching the peace with it, like bringing a bazooka into town and scaring the hell out of everybody.
Okay.
So they could say, you can't just walk around with a bazooka, it's terrifying everybody, you know what? So you're breaching the peace. So if you want to run around in your house on your property with a bazooka, go ahead, but don't do it out in the public. So that's a breach of the peace. And believe me, they'll get a jury against you and you'll lose within your community. Trust me, you'll lose. So there's either breach of the peace or you based upon an agreement. So you sign an agreement with these people. And I tell people that a million times, there's actually, like, if you look in the Alabama Code, and what I found, there's only two ways in which the children can be taken. Due to a crime and a conviction, and then the child is taken, or based upon an agreement, a consent plan. So you sign a consent plan, and it says very simply in the Alabama Code that if the parent wishes at any time for the immediate restoration of his child, the department is to return the child immediately with no hesitation. These consent plans and safety plans are only supposed to be offered or tendered or proposed to the parents if there's no concern or hesitancy with the immediate return. If there is concerns of the immediate return or hesitancy, pursue it as a criminal matter. So if they're not pursuing it as a criminal matter, all you have to say to the judge, I wish for the immediate return of my property. You don't have to say anything else. You don't have to say there's a theft. You don't have to say there's a robbery, because you actually signed them away by saying, look, if I don't live up to the rules and the conditions of this agreement, they may come in and take them from me if I don't live up to these terms and conditions.
Yep, I changed my mind. I want my property back now.
Yeah,
that's it.
Carl, let's discuss. Hey, Carl?
Yeah.
Hey, man, what happened is she sent the two oldest kids over to her in-laws for a couple of weeks, and the sister-in-law, who's a school teacher, is completely in disagreement with the mom because she chooses to homeschool. And the oldest kid wants to play football, and his mom won't let him get vaccinated, so they won't let him play football. So he's complaining to the aunt, and the aunt put in paperwork seeking custody of the kids, saying they're behind in the school.
There is no such thing. This went all the way up to the Supreme Court. There is no such thing as relatives' rights. There is no such thing as grandparents' rights. It's the mom created that bundle of joy. The mom is the creator. Okay? The mom labored over that thing. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled grandparents have no rights over another woman's property. It's that simple. So I don't care. Susie, Betty, I don't care if Jesus Christ, let me put Jesus Christ came off the cross and said something bad about this woman. I don't give a damn. It's her property. And the courts recognize that. So it doesn't matter who said what, this is all based upon a consent decree. Was she criminally charged? No. Was it based on a consent decree? She said it was. And all she has to say is, I wish for an immediate return of my property. And that's it.
Now, there's no consent decree. What happened is the cops showed up because of the court order, the temporary order awarding the aunt temporary custody. They sent the cops in for a welfare check, and the cops said that she was not allowed to go back into the house because she was already she was out shopping. So when she came back, the cops told her she wasn't allowed into the house until CPS checked out the house. So CPS came by the next day, checked out the house, told her everything was fine, and they went away.
Okay, what I'm just trying to say is this lady said she did sign, okay? That's all I care about, is this lady said she did sign something with the CPS.
But I did, though, send email and give them a letter.
Everything else is a result of that.
Right.
I gave them a letter on the door when they came over that said that I want them to go away. I rescind all my contracts.
It doesn't matter.
I sent them a letter that was certified and said the
all
same
you
thing.
have to do is put a notice into the court saying the word notice on the top.
Okay.
I, say your name, and then all you have to say is wish to immediate return of my property. And then you put in 4 corner brackets in reference to case number 62174 because you don't want to reference their number. You just want to put in a 4 corner bracket because you didn't create that number. It's not your number. It's not your case number. It's their case number. So you put in a 4 corner bracket. Yeah, that's simple. There's no rocket science here. I know it's under the 660 code in Alabama. I don't have it off the top of my head. I'm walking around with a cell phone in my hand trying to get ready to take a trip to Missouri to do a little 2-day seminar. But I know it's in the 660 code. All you have to do is in the 660 code, look for the word wish and wishes. Or just wishes. And Google or like PDFs will find it in a heartbeat, the word wishes in the 660 code. So if you want to refer to it, maybe Gus has it. I could have sworn I gave Gus that passage from the 660 code.
I don't recall if I've got it or not. I've looked for it in New Hampshire. I know we don't have that over here.
Okay, what I'm saying, not that you don't literally have to have it. I am telling you, this is how consent decrees, this is how safety plans, this is how it works. Anytime you bind yourself as man or woman to the state has to back off. Okay, they don't have a choice. This isn't like they have no voice in the matter.
At one point in time, you said, "Here, you can use my car." You gave them the authority to take the kids, and now you got to say, "Oh, you know what? I need my car back."
Right. It's that simple.
So at any time, you can say, "Oh, you know, hey, that car I let you use, yeah, I need that back now because I actually have to use it, and it's my car, so I need it right now."
Right. Because like I try to say to people, look, the Catholic Church provided this wonderful service for 1,000 freaking years. If a single mom didn't have a way to provide for her child, she'd dump it off at the church, and she'd leave a playing card. She'd cut it in half, a queen of hearts, or ace of spades, whatever. She'd cut it in half. And when she wanted to come back and get her property back, get her kid back, she'd walk into the church, hand the nun her cut card. The nun would go find it in a filing cabinet somewhere, see that it matched this baby at 2 days old. 12-year-old little Susie or Bobby would come out, no questions asked, and would take off with the mom. No questions asked. Not say, can you provide for the kid now? Do you have proper shelter? Do you have medical needs? Will you vaccinate this kid? No questions asked. They just turn it over immediately. And that's the way it still works to this day. Yep. You went to the government, and the government is funny. It's funny if you actually look in the Social Security Act and the Medicaid Act on the 682 and 482, it literally says the government may not make a proposal of the removal of a child from a parent. The parents must come to the government first and ask for aid. They can't knock on your door and solicit. But they do.
Yep.
So that's the whole trick. It's like, wait a second. I didn't come to you for help. You came to me and said, well, we believe that you need help. No. I don't need an insurance policy. I don't need help. I don't need nothing from you. Don't sell me anything. Don't solicit.
Everybody out there, you'd be surprised where this can start. The people I'm helping right now, or the individual I'm helping right now, this started because of a school guidance counselor. And as soon as the school guidance counselor got that permission from the parent, within a matter of a week, Child Family Services was involved.
Yeah.
That's all they needed was their foot in the door in some little minor way, and bam, the government could come.
Yep, you invited them in.
You invited them in. This was a simple consent form to a school guidance counselor. That's all Child Family Services needed to get their foot in the door. Bam, and it was done. So you just got to say, you know what, I made a mistake. Sorry, I actually don't want any of these services. I want my property.
Yeah, because what was funny is some lady called me. She was from Guyana, and she called me up. And the cops and the sheriff's department and social services was pounding on the door on a Wednesday, and I was able to get them to leave. Talking to her through the phone, telling her what to say. Friday they came back. I got him to leave. Saturday they came back, we got him to leave. But what was funny is Gus put this on the internet somewhere. I think it's just called Guyana Lady. I don't know if you spelled Guyana.
I listened 1,000 times.
Okay, well, I'm just telling other people. If Dean wants to listen to it, we could actually hear how I was telling this Guyana lady. She was on public housing, had no job. She was a grandma, and she was actually able to keep the social service people and the sheriff's department outside of this public housing door, which they probably believe they have full rights to access at any time with this public Section 8 housing. And she was able to stay them outside the door for 3 days, 3 days in a row, just, talking to them through the phone call from me to them. So, some of this stuff was just hysterical. He was like, we want to see the child. And I said, well, ask them if they got a cell phone. And he was like, you got a cell phone number? Yeah, okay. I said, now take a picture of the kid and text message it to him. And she did. She said, now you see the kid, now, what more do you wish? It's like, oh, we physically want to touch it. I said, well, then are you bound? Are you bonded? Are you identified? Are you sure if you drop this kid and on its head and it's a quadriplegic for the rest of his life, are you fully covered?
I would have said, why are you a pedophile? Bring your child down here. I'd like to touch your child while we're at it.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's like, are you bonded? It's like, and then how much are you bonded for? Because if you drop my child and it winds up at quadriplegic, you say, oopsie, you're just going to walk away, or you're going to quit social services and you're going to work at a donut shop for the rest of your life? How am I going to be compensated for a crippled child? Are you bonded? You're not just touching my property. You say it's a Ming vase. It's worth $10 million. You're not going to touch my $10 million Ming vase because, well, I want to just take a look at it and make sure it's not stolen. No. You're going to make sure you're bonded for us for $10 million before you touch my Ming vase, buddy. It's like, oopsie, I dropped it. It's like, dude, I hope you're covered for this. No, I'm not. I'm just a cop. I'm just a social worker. No, they don't identify us for that much. Sorry. Well, my child is precious. My child is priceless. You better have a hell of a bond. You better be indemnified to a gazillion freaking dollars. But you're not touching my property.
Isn't it amazing that people that collect like antiques, stuff like that, will not let somebody touch their antiques or their precious collectibles, but they don't even blink when the state wants to start touching their children, their kids.
You mean like my Elvis Presley commemorative plates?
Yeah. Yeah, don't touch the plate. But, you want to touch my child? Okay, not a problem. No. You want to touch my kid? Get your checkbook out. Leave a deposit. Yeah. If you want to drive my car, leave a deposit. I require a deposit.
Yeah. So, but like I said, man, just make it simple. Just say I wish the immediate return of my property. Just put it in the form of a notice. Sign your name, say in above, just say in the reference case number, blah, blah, blah. Like, put it in 4 corner brackets so they know what case you're referring to.
Even if you grant consent at one point in time, well, now you want it back.
Because all this ridiculous court of record stuff and all this other stuff, only man has the capacity to wish. The government can't wish anything. Only man has the capacity to believe and to wish.
Yep.
So you make a simple wish. And I said, people always laugh at me. It's like, okay, look under the 660 Code of Alabama. What does it say? Upon the wish of the parent, or upon the wishes of the parents, the child must be returned immediately. Wishes. Why are these legislators, why are these ministers, why are they putting the word wishes in their code if it's such a silly word? It didn't say requests the property be returned. It didn't say requires the children be returned. It said wishes. Because only man has the capacity to wish and believe.
Your wish is their command.
Yeah, they're supposed to act upon it. It's your wish. But like I said, when you go on and on and on and on, they know you have no freaking clue. If the king set off with his head, right, what makes you think a king's going to go on for hours and hours and explain why this man's head should be cut off? He's not. He's going to say, off with both your heads. But why? What do you think he's going to give 500 pages of spiel of why your head should be cut off? He's like, cut everybody's freaking head off. I'm done. I'm done talking.
So I guess then that her next course of action then is the notice going to the court file and to be served at the judge, but in his actual name as a man, letting him know that I required the return of my property. You failed to return my property. You're damaging me. I'm giving you a chance to make good and return my property. Otherwise, you're liable, and this is how much it's going to.
Well, the first thing I would do is just make a simple notice that says I wish to immediately return my property. And then if she doesn't get an immediate response from that, we wish to immediately return my property, then she could go on with something more in detail. Say, I believe that this court, Yeah, it has to. I believe this court has knowledge of the location of my property. If the property is not returned within, 24 hours, I'm going to start charging $1 a day to this court.
Okay, so I already gave that notice.
No, you didn't. You just make a simple wish.
Just a wish.
Just a wish.
Okay.
It sounds silly, but like I said, that's what you have to do. I wish for me to return my property.
Okay.
And say in just right in reference to case number blah 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 blah. And say I wish to return my, say I wish for the return of my property, and then attach a photograph of, say Exhibit A, say see Exhibit A, and make a picture of your kid and attach it to the wish of that nice little notice. It's like a notice is just you shouting it out to the world. It's not a judicial notice, because if it's a judicial notice, you're actually directing it to the judiciary, to the judge or the magistrate, and he could deny it or grant it or whatever. No, you're just putting a notice out to the world. I wish to return my property, and you're just shouting it out the window. You're just sticking it on a board. You're just sticking it on a telephone pole, the picture of your kid, and say, I wish to return my property. And the whole world is supposed to walk by and say, oh, okay, she wishes the property back. Okay, no problem. We see it, we'll bring it back. That's our duty and obligation to our fellow man. We find it something laying around, we'll pick it up and bring it to her. They know their job. They're not stupid.
Yep.
You just got to keep it simple.
That's not the case. You just got to stick to it.
When you ramble on, they know you're just winging it. You have no understanding of what it means to be a man or a king. You have no understanding. You're rambling on. You're going to be a fool. A king knows how to command in 2-3 words and be done. Next case.
The other thing is too is that is the reason why Karl's saying to use simple sentences and you repeat them is you have to say the same thing word for word. If you add a word or leave a word out, the second time you say it, that's a whole new sentence.
It's a whole new notice. It's a whole new claim. Golden ovation.
So it's not the second time you said it. That's the first time you said a whole new sentence.
Oh my goodness.
A word or it had a word added.
That's why I tell people, if you do more than 8 words, 15 words, and you have to repeat that in court 3 times, you're going to mess up.
Yep. So keep that in mind.
Like I said with my sister, she just kept saying, I, Karen, going to, lie my case before the court. I now present my case to the court. And that was it. And that's all she had to do.
So a lot of times people say, well, I said the same thing over and over again 10 times, but then it turns out they said the same thing kind of, but 10 different ways.
Well, the judge will trick you and say,
that's 10 different statements altogether.
Or the judge will trick you and say, well, do you require counsel? Because this is going to be very difficult. This divorce might go on for months. But you just said the same damn thing.
Right.
And the judge, we'll provide you counsel if you can't provide counsel your own. She said the same damn thing 3 times, and the judge said, duly noted.
Because once might have been a mistake, the second time might have been a coincidence, but the third time was a pattern. She meant it.
Oh, yeah. She's like, I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to mix words. I'm here to state my claim, and nobody's going to deviate me from my mission. I got a mission. I got a goal, and nobody's going to, persuade me or trick me or con me in any deviation of my goal whatsoever. It's going to happen.
Yep, so careful with that when you guys are repeating things. You think you said it for the third time, you didn't, because you said a different sentence if you changed even one word.
Yeah, that's serious. Okay,
because the big word that the attorneys will use to really mess you up, they'll say, well, let's be reasonable about this. And then they'll try to say, did you mean to say this? Instead of saying property, let's be reasonable about this. Lincoln freed the slaves. You mean children? You don't really mean property, do you? Come on, let's be reasonable about this. They're not really your property. They're not slaves.
Don't
slaves and property.
That. Just repeat the same sentence over again.
We're in the corrupt hibbing courts in Minnesota, so, that's part of it, too. I don't know if you've heard about them, but people in Hawaii have. Yeah.
Because, like I said, too, because when property means you have the exclusive right to use and enjoy it, exclusive to all that's within the society. And it's that simple. So, like I said, when my kid was taken back in 2001, and they said to me, if you don't sign this paperwork, you're never going to see your child again. I said, are you talking about my property? And the ladies freaked out. One was a black lady, one was a white lady. Freaked out. It's like, property? You just calling property? I said, you're damn right I did. Watch this. Hey, woman, at the end of the table, mother of the kid, you my property? She said, you're damn right I am. The women freaked out. I said, what's your problem, ma'am? What's your problem, lady? Watch this. Hey, woman, what? am I your property? He said, you're damn right you are. I said, there you go. And guess what? That bundle of joy, my son, on the other side of that window, I'm his property. Only he gets to call me Dad. There's no child on planet Earth, there's no boy on planet Earth to this day, to this time, that has the right to call me Dad. He could even use enjoy me as Dad. I have a duty and obligation to serve and perform a function for him, exclusive to him. I don't have to do it for anybody else with this society. Believe me, I am his property. He is my property. She's my property. I'm her property. And that boy also could claim that woman as his property, his mom. Yep. Nobody else may call her mom. Yep. Property is a wonderful, beautiful word. But in the Communist Manifesto, plank number 1, there must be removal of all property from man.
Yep.
Go look it up.
And this can be confirmed as well because just so everybody knows that about 8 months into my incarceration, they're actually a little bit more than that. This was just last in August, turning September of 2014. I was claimed as property by somebody at my own pretrial. Someone showed up and claimed me as their property at my pretrial. And they ended the day really abruptly when that happened.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was taken back to Brandon Correctional Center, but I wasn't put in chains. And the computer, the court computer showed me as not being in custody for the next 5 days, and I was taken back to court.
Yeah, it was funny. Somebody was asking me about that. Yeah, because I actually got some man out of jail in Indiana because of that. And his mom went to I actually went there to the sheriff's department with the mom. And I said, that man that you have in custody is her property. And she requires of this, your facility, to release her property to her immediately because she requires, she had a farm, she requires her property to perform a function on her farm. And without that property to be available to her, you're going to cause her harm, injury, and loss. She requires the property that you're holding in your custody to be turned immediately. And they did.
Which is essentially...
So like I said, somebody tried that trick with you. Like usually it's good to bring a brother or a mom or somebody to go in there and claim you as property and say that you require.
Yeah.
It's like
they brought me back 5 days later, though, and then while I was in day 2 of my pretrial, they issued a new warrant for my arrest at a whole different court in a different city on the same day and took me back into custody, even though I was...
Right, like I said, too, it's funny, I did a trick for some kid who was throwing rocks through a bank window. He's one of these anarchist kids. Well, he's 37 years old. Throwing rocks through a bank window.
They're not going to play fair, people. They're just going to keep doing this kind of stuff, and you just got to keep saying the same thing over and over again. No.
Well, like I said, when this 37-year-old man was throwing rocks through a bank window from across the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, he was arrested. So he said to me, how do I get out of this? I said, it's simple. I said, I know the bank was indemnified to an insurance company. The insurance company paid for the windows that you broke, so obviously the bank's not going to make the claim that you owe them any money because they'll be double-dipping from the insurance company. I said, so just say to the state of North Carolina when they bring you into the court, so I'm here to compensate the plaintiff. Who is the plaintiff? They said, obviously it's not the state of North Carolina because I broke the Bank of America's windows. Is the Bank of America have a representative of the Bank of America going to appear at court today and claim I owe it a debt because I'm ready to pay any debt to Bank of America? Or has anybody within society made an affidavit that I disturbed the peace at 2 o'clock in the morning? Is there any affidavit from pay the debt to society? Is that man or woman going to appear? And they said, well, no. They said, well, then obviously you don't have a case against me, and I wish to have this case, discharged in society. So they had to discharge it. But what was funny, what the judge did to him, the judge said, fine, case discharged. And the guy smiled, and he said, contempt of court, 30 days for smiling. So even though he got out of the charges, the judge still was going to nail this guy for 30 days regardless, because 30 days was the sentence for throwing rocks through a window.
Yep, just because. So
like I said, you got to be real careful. Because, like I said, you can even smile, and you got away with it, and you got a dismissal. But like Dean just said, yeah, I got out of this, and guess what? Now they throw this on me. So I start to go this way, and they bring me right back this way. You can't beat these bastards. So don't play their game.
Actually, Vic can't even speak on the call here. She got disconnected.
It's just about midnight where I am, and I got to get going. But I told her I was going to come back because I was late getting home from work today. I'm still getting caught up after 16 months being in the clink and trying to get my affairs back in order here. But, Karl, I think you and I are going to chat sometime soon here as well. And then I'm going to try to maybe get back on next week onto the show here and get on a little earlier and possibly have some better updates by then when I can get some more of my stuff together here. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. I think she's going to try to get back on the call right now, and I got to get to sleep because I got to get up again at 6 o'clock in the morning, put another full day in here. So.
All righty. Good luck to you, man.
So, yeah, well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we actually have a couple of mutual friends and whatnot there, so we'll have to chat about that another time here. But unfortunately, I didn't have a whole lot to say to everybody here tonight, but all I can do is tell everybody that everything Karl's saying is absolutely correct and it's true, and I've seen it work any number of times now. And if you want to be your own worst enemy, do what I do and get into arguments with them because you know that you're smart.
Oh, boy.
There she is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
you.
so everybody have a good night, and I'm going to try to get back on next week here and actually show up on time and get off work a little bit earlier. So, all right, everybody have a good night.
Stay safe.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye. Well, how would you make a judge move then?
Huh?
So how would you make the judge move if he's just sitting there after you've already told him, give him your property?
Like I said, ma'am, when you start running on and on and on, they know you have no clue. You've got to make one-sentence notices. You put in about 8 different notices under one notice.
Yeah.
You can make 8 separate notices. That's fine. But you just was running on and on and on. This one's a trespass. This one's a debt due. This one is, a robbery, a theft.